What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com. It is July 22nd. It is the Listening Girl number 5. And last week, on the list goes on, I did a nice send-off to Denise. I said, Denise, I don't know when we'll see you on Wednesdays again. And here you are.
And I'm back. And better than ever.
Better than ever. So you're better than last week. You're better than the week before.
It's my 5 times. Okay, like this is the event that I have to commemorate now.
As long as you're better than whatever you do with those jobbers over at Wrestle Talk, then I'm fine. I just want the best Denise. You can save the rundown, tired Denise for them. How about that?
Hey, there is no such thing as rundown, tired Denise Salcedo. Denise has her working shoes on.
Okay, I'll believe you. But right out of the gate, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, leave us a thumbs up. That stuff really helps. We've gotten a bunch of new subscriptions from that EC3 interview that's over 45,000 views. Thank you guys so much. I have a lot of really fun, really great interviews coming up, as does Denise Salcedo over on her channel, so make sure you show that some love too. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. We will give it some special care if you do that. Manny Santos says, looks like Mandy and Sonya are back this week on SmackDown. Sonya posted a pic at the PC yesterday. Any word on Regal's major announcement? Well, I don't know what the announcement is, Denise, but what do you think his announcement is?
All right, so I've been reading everybody's different comments on this and kind of gauging what people think. And I mean, it's a full spectrum of things. I have people saying that he's going to not be GM anymore. People are saying there's going to be a 3rd hour added. I mean, just about everything that you can think of has sort of been included into my comments. And when I was reading Regal's tweet today, it kind of read like he was stepping down. Yes. But I just didn't think that maybe that would be a possibility, but I guess like anything can happen. But that's how I read his tweet, though. It was just like the tone of voice. It was almost like if he was saying like goodbye, but I could be totally wrong and I could have just read that very incorrectly.
Yeah, I thought it read like he was stepping down as well. And I don't know who would step up. Maybe Shawn Michaels. He's there already, maybe. I don't think they would add a 3rd hour to NXT. One, the only way WWE would do that is if USA paid a lot of money to do it, because they are fully aware of the quality in which their show has decreased since they've added a 3rd hour. I mean, the numbers are indisputable. They've added a 3rd hour, and viewers have just darted towards the exits to avoid watching WWE Raw, to the point where we're getting like 1.5 million. Oh my God. It's really, really rough. I think that a 3rd hour would just be an albatross.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, it would be too much. And then I think somebody else also thought that maybe they were moving dates. And I just kind of felt like everyone has such different opinions on what this announcement is going to be that I kind of hope it lives up to, like, our wild expectations. But hopefully it isn't something bad.
Yeah, and the thing is, gosh, when Raw was first in its 3-hour era, they were doing, like, 4-5 million viewers. We're doing like 1.5, 1.6. This is rough right now, so I don't think that'll happen. Mike Lucas says, is it possible Regal will be GM of all 3 brands? I don't, and Rob Wilkins says, send Regal to Raw and SmackDown. I don't doubt that he could become a GM of a different brand. I think he'd be really good at that. I'm not ruling that out, that he's just GM across brand. But to me, I think if he got promoted to Raw or SmackDown, that would be better, because otherwise, what good is a brand split if you got the same guy running all 3?
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense at all. And one of the things that I do want to mention that you literally just brought up was the fact that we are down to 1.5 million viewers. And I just think to myself, like, where are these people going? Because it's not even like that we're seeing the number shift to somebody else's end. Like, for example, those 3 million people that are no longer watching, it's not like they switched over to AEW. So it's like, where are these people going? And I think, and I was just talking this over with a friend, and I was like, you know, if what happened with WCW, where they were getting like 11 million viewers, where did all those people go? It's not like they all went to WWE. So it's kind of scary that like these chunks of people are coming off. And I just like, I hope and I have faith that they'll return once there's crowds, but it's kind of a scary reality.
It doesn't help when WWE puts out really bad content, because what they put out reflects on a lot of other people. Anakin JMT says, thank you to everybody who's donated to the Wild Boy GoFundMe. We're at $28.85 so far. You guys are awesome. Yes, and he's actually in the super chat, sending a super chat saying thank you for all the love and support. My dude, you do not have to send a super chat. Just send it right to my inbox and we'll read it. He unfortunately lost his mother this past week, and he's had a rough go of it. He and his whole family have of late. One of the greatest dudes I've known. And I have his GoFundMe pinned to my Twitter right now, and I just retweeted it. Please consider giving. It would help them out a lot by the way of medical expenses, funeral costs. His mother raised an incredible person, and I hope that we can help him out a little bit because he is a great, great dude. Speaking of great dudes, our boy Throwback27 did his show last night. Go check it out on YouTube. He said, kicking at work, watching you guys. Thank you for making it better. Do you think there could be something insane happening in the Cross and Dijak match? Could we have a three-way for the North American title? I don't think so. I would imagine that this is WWE's way of sending Dijak to Raw or SmackDown and killing him off, so to speak. Denise, what do you think?
Well, I definitely don't want to see Karrion Kross and Keith Lee just yet, because I still want there to be that tease. So I guess adding him into that match would probably be not, I think it would be too fast for it right now, wouldn't be the time. But in terms of Dijakovic going on to Raw, that's been talked about. So I would not be surprised at all if we were to see that happen. And I would actually be pretty happy about that.
So NXT, there's some definite intrigue around it tonight. And then you got Jon Moxley saying, oh, yeah, there's something that made me very happy on tonight's show. There's talk of a surprise. We've got Ivelisse and Diamante, who, to my knowledge, are not signed to AEW. And, Denise, I cannot tell you how many Q&As I've done. It happens at least once every other week for the last year. So I would say I've said this probably 25 times. People say, who should WWE sign? Who should Impact sign? Who should AEW sign? And I always say Ivelisse and Diamante. I was shocked that when LAX went to AEW, that Impact wasn't like, you know what? Diamante used to be in LAX. We've got this badass women's division. Let's make it Diamante, Mercedes Martinez, and Ivelisse. To me, that would have been revolutionary for them. They ended up getting none of them, which is uncharacteristic of Impact, as we will discuss later. But now we got Ivelisse and Diamante showing up on AEW. I love that, and I know there's a lot discussed about Ivelisse's attitude. I can tell you that I personally haven't experienced it like anything negative. I've interviewed her like 4 times, but there are people that I know and respect who have. What do you think about them bringing in Ivelisse and Diamante, apparently unsigned, and featuring them heavily on Dynamite?
Well, I think one of the things that people have been saying is that they want more focus for the women's division in AEW. Yeah. And so I remember saying that, like, if Kylie had things not gone array, or however they went down in AEW, and had she not gone to Impact, she would definitely had been the biggest female woman star on AEW. So I feel like for them to bring in more women, it would definitely be a bonus, just because they need it. And the fans want it. Like, the fans are behind having legit storylines for the women. So I think people want it. But in terms of what I was thinking about too, and like who would be like an AEW surprise in terms of coming in, because basically at this point, like, the term of like a big unsigned indie star sort of doesn't exist anymore, since so many people have been booked left and right. And one of the people that I was thinking that would be like pretty interesting to see come along in AEW was Chris Hero. And I'm thinking, okay, because I know that Moxley said that it was something that more of the hardcore fans would follow, and that they would know about this. So I was thinking, like, why not Chris Hero? Like, he would be such a badass, like, addition to the roster. But that was just one of my, like, little theories.
Yeah, there's also the possibility of Warhorse, who is an independent star that a lot of people have been pushing for to appear in a Cody Rhodes Open Challenge, and he has acknowledged that, so to speak. Like, he has said, hey, I hear you. I hear who you're talking about. Eddie Kingston's one that's been pushed for quite a while. Eddie Kingston's probably a guy that Moxley would be a little more familiar with because he's been around forever, too. So, I mean, that's the thing. There are options out there. There are some people who are, quite frankly, are tied up with NWA, and we don't know their contract status or what they'll be allowed to do. Guys, I just want to make a note. There's a solid chance my power goes out during this show. If it does, apologies. I'll find a way to make it up, but we are trying to cram as much as we can into this time frame. So if the show's a little bit shorter, that's why. We do have a major storm going out here. It went off right before our show started. So, yeah, I'm battling that, but let's keep the ball rolling here. Naomi lost. I thought, here's the thing. I thought the finish was creative on Friday, but it didn't do Naomi any favors. There's been a lot of Naomi deserves better and a lot of that. There's been a lot of people that imply that Naomi's never had her time to shine. That is not true whatsoever. However, should she be in a better spot? Yeah, she should be. There's no reason to use somebody who is over like that and can get everything over and cares so much about their look and changing things up as her. And it's not like she hasn't pitched stuff, Denise. She has pitched stuff. She's pitched it repeatedly in interviews with other people who aren't doing anything. What do you think they could do with Naomi?
Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to revert to what I know best. So one of my favorite things to do in, like, deciphering, like, who's over, who's not, who should get a push, whatever, is seeing how fans react to that person. And I remember WrestleMania weekend in New York, which was the last one that we did, at Fan Access, you know, when they have, like, the stage and fans get to dress up and do the little special entrance and come out and, you know, do all of that. I stood there. I tend to stand there for, like, a really long time because they get pretty entertaining. And I will say this, that I saw more people do Naomi's entrance than, like, some of, like, the other people that you would think, oh, everybody's going to do this entrance. No, everybody wanted to do her entrance. And it was little things like that that make you realize that Naomi isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say she's Becky Lynch level, or she hasn't had that spotlight like Asuka or Charlotte or somebody like that. Like, yeah, you can say she's had her spotlight, but she hasn't really had it, in my opinion, in lights like of somebody like Becky Lynch. And so to sort of see that she has that following and that people that, you know, they're reacting to her and what she does, that only tells me that we want to see more of her, and we want to see her have some good moments, especially the fact that she is so freaking athletic. Like, It's insane. So it's not even like she's limited in the ring. It's not like she doesn't have a character or a unique look. Like, she has it all. So I definitely am in more of the side of where fans say, like, she really hasn't had her peak utmost moment in the company.
Sure, and as I mentioned, she's pitched working with Bianca Belair. There's no reason they can't trade her to Raw. And before you all hit me with the, oh, but they don't like to split up couples. Everybody's at the Performance Center right now. Jimmy is at home. They're not splitting anything up by sending her to Raw for a few months. It's a make-believe show. They can trade her back whenever they want. They can literally trade her to Raw, have her and Bianca go on a great tag run, split, feud, send one back to SmackDown. Or, because, I mean, quite frankly, the Usos need a change of scenery anyway. If I were WWE, I'd be trading Viking Raiders and the Usos immediately, because both have... How many times have we seen Usos and New Day? Fantastic. But we've seen it a million times. We've seen Usos facing Cesaro and somebody else a million times. Maybe not Nakamura, but somebody else. We've not seen the Viking Raiders against those teams a million times, but we have seen Viking Raiders face Street Profits a million times and don't want them anywhere near each other. So, yeah, Mike Lucas sends a super chat and says, to be fair, Sean loses power would get views. Well, Sean loses power. This show ends. We will be on FightfulSelect.com for the list goes on to wrap it up afterwards because it's just a pain. It's just a pain. But, hey, for now, keep those Super Chats rolling. I see some of you asking questions and stuff like that. Donate a Super Chat. They'll get answered on the show. So, we got some debuts on Impact. I had mentioned on FightfulSelect.com this week. By the way, subscribe, guys. I've got exclusive news there nonstop. I had mentioned that, Heath Slater showed up. EC3 showed up. Good Brothers showed up. But Kurt Hawkins was another name that was being rumored backstage for weeks. Well, he showed up last night, and he's more valuable than a lot of people will realize. He's more versatile than a lot of people realize. Not everybody has to be a top guy in that company. He's going to be a mid-card guy. He might be in a team, but he can train people. He can host things. He can do a whole lot. He can agent matches if you so choose. He's had some experience doing that. What do you think of the acquisitions of Impact Wrestling? So far, it's Kurt Hawkins, it's the Good Brothers, it's EC3, Heath Slater, Motor City Machine Guns. That's 7 pretty solid additions.
Right. Okay. So first of all, I said this last time and I gotta say it again because I said that Impact Wrestling would benefit the most from WWE releases, and it seems like just that. And then with the incorporation of others, I think they are going down the right path. So one of the people that I do want to mention first is Eric Young. So why I think, so I want to mention the fact that he's probably one of the most important guys that they have on there besides EC3, because Eric Young can sort of be plugged into any sort of position on the card and do great. So I think if he were to work with younger guys like Trey or Ace Austin, I feel like they could really learn a lot from working with him. So I think that Eric Young is probably one of the top ones as well. I think that the EC3...
sorry to interrupt you. He already has a hot program ready. Rich Swann and him, already white hot. Sorry, continue.
No, exactly. And then also with EC3. So my favorite portions about this is actually like the promos that he's been cutting with the whole control your narrative and you've been controlled your entire life and do you allow the entire world to walk all over you? I think that's pretty cool and it fits perfect within the timing because as you know, we live in like a digital world where everything is about social media, what you see and what you consume and how it's shaping your mind and your opinions. And so even though it seems like a very obvious concept, I don't think it's necessarily something that a wrestler has sort of applied to his character. And that's what we're seeing with EC3. And I feel like there's a lot of layers to that character that you can actually go out. I thought his debut at Slammiversary was pretty awesome. I like the fact that they added the clip at the end because it made him that much more of a big deal. And then I like the fact that he's being presented as an outsider. But I do think that it was kind of dumb that Josh Matthews pointed out that, he doesn't work here. He doesn't work here. I thought it would have made more sense to say that he just hadn't been offered a contract instead of saying like, he doesn't work here. Because it kind of looks silly considering that we're seeing the packages and everybody knows like they could have just gone about it that direction.
It was real bad. That was my biggest problem with last night's show, besides some of the Wrestle House stuff, which we won't even talk about. I did a great long interview with EC3 and it was awesome. And he said, to be fair, I don't have a contract. And I was like, yeah, but that's not what Josh was saying. It was bad commentary and they have needed an overhaul in commentary for a while. It's just, unfortunately, when they do it, they put like Sanjay Dutt in there and he's really obnoxious and isn't good at it. They don't Don Callis will get put in there and then he just stops talking on commentary and Josh has got to say everything. But it's just not good, the commentary where it is. When Josh Matthews goes, EC3, what is he doing here? Well, first off, you know what he's doing here. He's beating the shit out of Moose. How do you know that? Because you're watching it happen. Second off, he was promoted for the show. We knew he was going to be here, but he doesn't work here. Well, then why is he supposed to be on the show? Why did you advertise him for the show? Then Madison's like, how did he get in? Because he was supposed to be on the damn show. And, I mean, obviously, me and EC3 have a pretty good rapport because we've mentioned it on there. Like, I talk to him here and there. But, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say that the commentary for what was otherwise a really awesome segment, EC3 popping up, great camera shot, Moose with a good sell, Moose, great facial reactions. I liked EC3 doing a different finishing move. Would have been real easy for him to grab Moose in the headlock and do the old 1%er. He didn't do that, did a new move. But I don't know if it was Josh, Madison, or who fed it to them. That hurt the moment, and I hated that for EC3 because it would have been better without anything. It would have been better if Josh goes, "What the hell's happening?" And then it went silent, like he didn't know if he was supposed to talk. But also, Denise, everybody knows it's a taped show. If they didn't want him on there, they could have just edited him out.
There was just a lot of flaw there.
Yeah.
It was just like major contradiction. It was something like, oh, so like you didn't see the rest of the show. What else was announced? Like it just didn't make sense, and it really did take away from the moment. And it was enough for like people to like be upset about it. And one of the things too that was also cool about EC3 was that he came in with the towel and looking really dark and serious. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, that moment was a little ruined by commentary on there.
So we're gonna really expand on that because, quite frankly, I love that Impact this week had the most buzz of anything. That made me feel so good because I know how hard a lot of those people are working. Hey, you know what? Josh Matthews works very hard. Josh Matthews, a lot of people are like, you know, he's been there through a lot of different regimes. That's because he does a lot of different jobs there. He works very, very hard there. So it makes me happy that a lot of people's hard work is getting noticed. Ethan Page, a person who I'm very glad is getting noticed. That guy has worked so goddamn hard to get himself in shape, and it's not just that. He'll host things. He'll host interview segments. He'll do vlogs. He'll do his own social media. He does his own thumbnails. He does a lot of that. And they and the Motor City Machine Guns had a killer match. And that was very awesome to me. Also reported that Motor City Machine Guns would become tag champions on FightfulSelect.com. And that they'd be coming into the company. Hot dog. But congrats to Josh Alexander and Ethan Page. They had the longest title reign in TNA Impact history. So good for them. But I talked to EC3. He sounded off on WWE, as did the Good Brothers. Whoo boy, there is a whole lot here. The Good Brothers were told by Carl Anderson was told by Triple H, when I think of you, I think of your kids. And I wonder, is AEW even going to be around? Well, the Good Brothers are going to be an Impact in AEW or Impact in New Japan for a while because they've signed 2-year deals with Impact. But they appeared on Being the Elite this week as well. It's been well known. There's some heat there on the AEW side. Subscribe to Fightful Select. I got some news on that too. Do you think that time will heal all wounds here and eventually we'll see them there?
Yeah, so one of the things that I remember Sean Waltman would always mention is like in wrestling, I don't remember the exact wording that he would say, but in wrestling, everybody eventually comes back. Everybody eventually ends up working
never say
together.
Never.
Yeah, exactly. So because of that, like whenever people have like feuds or controversies, I'm like, you know what? Within time, it'll heal, people will return, and, you know, people will settle whatever differences that they had. So I do definitely see it as a possibility.
And they were pretty transparent about not being happy with Paul Heyman. And based on what I heard, hard for me to disagree with him. Hard for me to, when he put them on the chopping block after they got life-changing contracts, like retire and be fine forever contracts. And they said, yeah, it's a lot more than AEW and all that, but they said anybody that knows us knows it is about do a lot of times. That's why we screwed over our friends. Do you think that this and a lot of the other deals, look at Mike and Maria, they wanted their releases, they got too good to be true contracts, then they got fired. Good Brothers, too good to be true contracts, got fired. A lot of people that were going to leave ended up getting fired. Do you think that will change the way that people approach WWE contract negotiations?
The situation to me is not black and white. It's not as simple as, oh, don't sign with WWE because they're not going to use you the way you want, or don't just stay because it's lots of money.
Yeah, I mean more about re-signing. If someone's creatively unhappy, like the Good Brothers, like Rhino, like like any of the people that we mentioned, Mike and Maria, and then WWE dangles that carrot in front of their face and says, here's $500,000. The Revival, for example, they got out.
Well, think about it this way, because I remember Moxley saying that they had offered him another deal where he didn't even open the contract, or he didn't even open the offer that they were offering him. So I just really think that it depends on the person. Like, if you're going to take a look at this deal and think, you know what, maybe in this sense, I'm going to say yes and I'm going to return even if I'm unhappy, that's one person. But look at people like Moxley where it wasn't worth it. Like, he was fed up. He just wanted to leave. So that amount, he didn't even want to know what it was. So I just feel like you can't fault people, but at the same time, you can't not fault people, because everyone makes different decisions, different choices there. And it's just, it's interesting because, again, with that quote, I mentioned this on Monday, I get what Triple H was saying, but AEW might not always be there. I really do get that. But I also think that, yeah, it was messed up that they resigned and then they got dropped. But it's just, I don't know. I can't say that there's a definitive answer for people when they are making this decision to resign or not resign.
And leverage is very important. And the Good Brothers had a lot of leverage because everybody knew that their deals were coming up last year. When you get fired, you don't have that same leverage. They didn't have AEW as an option. They didn't have, and right now they didn't have New Japan as an option because that's more of a circumstance of the situation. They'll be in New Japan. But last year, but here's the thing. I think Mike and Maria end up in Ring of Honor. They've already done their podcast. They've got friends there. They'll end up back there. But there are some people, like, what if the Revival had re-signed with WWE? They wouldn't have the same leverage because they would have gotten fired. For sure they would have got fired.
Yeah, and I think, like, really, like, it's all about, like you said, it's all about leverage, and just some people, they don't have it. And honestly, I think the best way to get leverage is if you're there and you leave and you make a bigger name for yourself and then you return like Drew McIntyre did, because then at that point, I do think you have a little bit more leverage.
And the sad reality is so much of this is WWE's misuse of these people. Like, they're entertaining wrestlers, but they have been misused wildly. We get a super chat from Anakin JMT referring to Booker T's response to Naomi, and boy, is that a can of worms, because there's a pattern of behavior for Booker T standing up for WWE as opposed to the individuals. And Booker, he says, does Booker just not get that WWE has failed to push people, the guys that have gotten themselves over time and time again? Rusev, Ryder, Christian, Ziggler, Mizdow, the list is endless. Ziggler I disagree with. He got hurt, so that's why. But there does seem to be this pattern of behavior from Booker T where, quite frankly, he sides with WWE on almost everything. He says stuff like, oh, well, Naomi's got to earn her right, and I think she has. And he said, they can go to hell with all these hashtags. I'm tired of hearing about it. Nobody deserves a chance. You got to earn your chance. And I'm like, how many people have earned their chance? EC3 quite literally got fired and earned his way back to WWE. And what did they do with him? Luke Gallows went all around the world and earned his way back to WWE. And what did they do with him? So to say that Naomi doesn't deserve it, do I think her work can be hit or miss sometimes? I do. But, I mean, she's been there for like a decade. She's been there a long time. Naomi did respond to this, and I think she tweeted like a Jim Carrey gif or something and says, will do. And Sasha Banks was not happy about it. She said, don't feed into useless opinions, no matter who they come from. What is your take on all this, Denise?
This feels a little too transparent. So first of all, I get Naomi's sense where she kind of did the well-do sort of thing, because I can't imagine there's certain people that they just can't, even if someone says something bad about them or something that they don't like, there's certain people that can't necessarily say, screw you, man, this is what I think.
Yeah.
So I think the approach that she took was a really nice, good girl type of approach. It was respectable for her to respond like that. And in terms of Sasha Banks, obviously she has a different approach, and she has a little bit more pool where she can do that versus Naomi, who isn't necessarily at the level that Sasha Banks is in the company. But I get I get what Booker T is saying, but I don't think it applies here. So I'm all for work hard and do your thing, etc., right? But it just doesn't apply in this situation because that's not always how things work. There's a whole lot more that goes into whether or not somebody's going to be spotlighted on the roster, not going to be, so on. So many things that we don't know about. So I do think in that sense, it was kind of maybe a little bit messed up. But at the same time, I guess you can take it and just try to make it the best that you possibly can.
Yeah, and as you said, easier said than done when you don't hold the fate of yourself in your own hands. Quite frankly, EC3's whole thing is control the narrative. He controls his own narrative. Now, he released his own match at midnight, so sometimes you got to step out and do that. But look what happened when Zack Ryder got himself over. They took his show from him, put him in a wheelchair, had Cena kiss his girlfriend in front of him, booked Kane to throw him off a stage, and made it look like he couldn't change a tire on a car as he's running away from somebody. They completely embarrassed the poor guy. And they'd throw him a bone here and there. Here's a WrestleMania tag title win. Here's a WrestleMania Intercontinental title win. Heh, good job, buddy. He was so much more talented than that. So is Naomi. I don't know that Naomi has been embarrassed quite to that level, but misused, for sure. Sam Piboon says, which wrestling company will Zack Ryder sign with? I think probably AEW if he's not shown up in Ring of Honor yet, but it also wouldn't surprise me to just see him try to ride the wave of the independent circuit when it comes back either.
I can definitely see him going to AEW. Like he would work so well there. Like like obviously he'd probably be doing something different, but let's just say he were doing something similar to what he did in WWE. I feel like it would go over very well there.
Somebody asked when I started to cover Impact Wrestling, 10 years ago? We've covered it every single week on our website. Every single pay-per-view we've had a post-show on. We have Steven Jensen that does the Weekender podcast where he reviews it on FightfulSelect.com. Check it out. The content is out there. Our friend Kelsey says, at this point, if I was unhappy with WWE, I would walk. The money's one thing, but happiness and your sanity is a lot more valuable. There's other options out there. You guys are amazing. Keep it up. Kelsey, I appreciate that. I'm very glad to see you in here. Denise, I've been pretty transparent in the past. I've been made some very, very nice offers to leave Fightful and go elsewhere. From places that I think I would enjoy working at, by the way. Places that I respect an awful lot. But I look at it, and I would talk it over with my wife, places I've been at before. And she says, you know what? I don't think you would be as happy if you went somewhere else. And is that worth it? Because ultimately, what you want in life is happiness. The money is very nice, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. I would not be able to put in the level of work that I am without that. But ultimately, the end goal of life is happiness, whether it be for you, for somebody else, for a lot of other people. And I think that's I think some saw it. Rhino saw it. Dax and Cash saw it as part of FTR. They knew it. Mike Kanellis re-signed, and then he was like, man, I want out of here. He saw it. EC3 was going to ask for his release, so he was seeing it. Deanna was going to ask for her release. She saw it. Tainara Conti asked for her release. She saw it. How do you weigh that? How do you balance that, Denise?
Again, it depends on the person. Like you just said right now, you can't see yourself in a place where you don't have as much control, as much creative power. And I think that when somebody is like that, then yeah, you really just have to make the move. But if you're content and you're okay and you just want to make money, all right, that's fine. That's your deal, because everybody's different and not everybody's going to make the same decisions. But personally speaking, I'm all about, like, if I love to have creative input. I don't think I would be able to survive if I wasn't allowed to say like, hey, this is my idea and like, let's move forward with it. Because a lot of people don't realize that when you're a creative person and you're full of ideas and you can do a million things and you're just doing one, it can really, really bring you down. And I think that sometimes people don't realize like how exhausting that could be like on your mental health if you're not really executing to your full potential everything that you can do.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's an argument in the chat if Okada ever played the suicide character in TNA. He did. He played it for like 1 or 2 matches, by the way. So if you all are arguing about that, it wasn't a regular thing, but they would just throw anybody they could get underneath that mask. Snacky TV says, Matt Cardona, Internet Champion, AEW Dark Champion. If this were 3 weeks ago, Denise, I would say, yeah, probably. However, with them just debuting the FTW Championship, I don't think they would go that route and have somebody else show up with their own belt again. He did have a new one commissioned, though.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole like bringing in all these different bouts and stuff. I just feel like it's being overused already too much. We have Moose doing something similar in Impact. It's like it's too much already.
Reminder, guys, get your super chats in. Donate any amount. Get your question or statement read on the air. This will be a shorter edition of The List and Your Girl. But you can make sure you check out Denise all over the place right now. She is everywhere. I love it. How was your Wrestle Talk experience the other night?
Oh my God, it was wonderful. So I've been able to do like a lot of stuff with them, and I don't even know why. They just asked me, and I was so happy, and I was like, dude, I will take this opportunity and whatnot. So it's been really, really fun. I'm really thankful for like all the opportunities that they've given me, because it's been like a whole new world, a whole new audience of people that I'm meeting for the first time. They're getting introduced to me for the first time. And, you know, so I've made a lot more friends on social media, which is always really nice. And obviously the YouTube channel has grown, which I'm really happy about, because as you know, like it is like a mission to like grow your YouTube channel. So like any little thing that really, really helps. So that was really awesome. And I had a blast. I besides the watch along, I've never reacted to a show, you know, in live time. So that was kind of unexpected to do as well. And I was the only one who didn't bring snacks, but I was already fasting for the day. So I was kind of regretting that. But I was like, dang, I should have saved some gummy worms or something for this.
Yeah. Well, speaking of social media, Denise Salcedo has 125,000 TikTok followers.
Yeah, but I don't like TikTok.
Well, you have significantly more than The Undertaker, who just started a TikTok. He is at 54,000. Denise, you have more followers on TikTok than The Undertaker. How does it feel? I want your thoughts, feelings, emotions. I don't care that you don't like TikTok. I want your expert analysis on The Undertaker joining TikTok.
Okay, so first of all, I think I definitely deserve to go in the Fightful Hall of Fame, and that's going to be my, or like Fightful yearbook. If there's a yearbook, my quote's going to be, I have more TikTok followers than The Undertaker, therefore I now have a greater legacy.
Yes.
But no, the point, when I read that, by the way, I was like, what the hell? Undertaker on TikTok? Am I reading this correctly? He has daughters, right? Is it daughters that he has?
Yes.
Because of that, I knew for a fact that, okay, he probably started seeing how popular it is through his daughters, because literally, I have like so many siblings and cousins, and they're all of age, like small ages, and all they do all day is scroll on TikTok. Yep. So you have to realize, like, people are getting millions of views for like some of the dumbest things that you can think of. All right, like you can post. Do you think
we're gonna see Undertaker do a lazy hip dance or something?
He could just post something on his tiger, and that will get like 1 million likes. Like, it's insane. So I think that right now, I almost wonder if he's going through like this phase of his life where he's like trying new things. You see that people do that. They try new things that maybe they wouldn't have done back in the day, explore a little bit. So I think that's what we're seeing. I'm excited to see if he does any challenges. That would be funny.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? Tim Travers.
He could start like a dead man trend, like a dead man dance trend.
Oh God. Lonnie Barker says, keep up the great work, SRS and Denise. Thank you so much. Tim Traver says, happy hump day. Hey, happy hump day, my friend. And TD Stinger says, thank you for everything you guys do. Pour one out for Nate Weston. Ooh, I just hit that part of Burn Notice. It was a heartbreaker. Oh, man. So, as we kind of wrap up, more on Kairi Sane. She's wrapping up with WWE. I have an exclusive update on that on FightfulSelect.com, but it would appear that her last match might have been this past Monday against Bayley. They got her a win. I'll tell you this, WWE does not want her wrestling anywhere else, and they are going above and beyond to try to make it to where she won't wrestle anywhere else. And this is not a new thing. This has been going on for months and months and months, and the back and forth. We've talked about her almost ad nauseum, and will she go, won't she go, all that good stuff. How are you feeling about Kairi Sane and kind of what she's got going on right now?
I know that this is a case of she might just want to go home and all of that, but I don't see it happening. The fact that they're, giving her different, opportunities, different ideas that they're pitching her, I almost feel like she's going to be convinced and she's going to stay, because at the end of the day, no matter where she goes, it doesn't even have to be AEW. It doesn't matter. Wherever she goes, she is automatically going to become the number one woman star there. And because of that, obviously you don't want to be the company that loses out on that potential number one star. You don't want to be the company that gives away what did they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Yeah, and that's not saying that she's trash, but I'm just trying to say, obviously, yeah, I'm not saying that, by the way. I'm just saying something that maybe you didn't take full advantage of, give it to somebody else, and then it becomes a big hit for them. Nobody wants to be on that end.
And if they find a way, if she does leave and they find a way to keep her on the payroll, whenever they tour Japan, they can just put her on the tours of Japan. They can give her a quick run or something like that. Quite frankly, the level of talent that they have between Nakamura, Tozawa, Io Shirai, they're going to have Sari, I can't remember if I mentioned Asuka, but Kairi as well. And the fact that they've got guys like AJ Styles on the roster too, who made a big impression in Japan. They could do an extended tour of Japan. They could do a good 2-3 week tour of Japan, have a story where 3 straight episodes of Raw are from that country, or film them and have Kairi pop up and get a win, then put somebody over. There's a lot of options, and I don't blame them for trying to keep her as a part of that family. It just makes a ton of sense to me. I cannot believe The Undertaker has TikTok.
I'm going to react whenever he does his first one.
You should.
That's it. Plans already.
That's good content right there. So, that's all we have. I told you guys I was going to condense this show today because of the storms going on. But FightfulSelect.com, I want to push that real quick. We've got shows every day. We got 7 shows a week now. Alex reviews Raw and SmackDown. I review NXT and AEW. If you want ROH, 205, Impact, GCW, Steven Jensen reviews that every weekend on The Weekender. You saw him on our Impact Slammiversary review this week. On top of that, Backstage Report podcast, Q&A show every single week. Then we got The List Goes On. And that's on top of all the news. Our level right now on Fightful Select, that all this stuff I'm talking about, is $5 a month. So that's less than $1 per show per week. My God, I can't even break it down right now. It's cents per show, and it supports us really, really well. Leave us a thumbs up. But Denise, tell the people where they can find you.
All right, so I have good news. I finally got around to doing something that I should have done a million years ago. I kick myself in the face every time, but whatever. I'm officially on Anchor.fm, which means that now I have a podcast/audio version of my wrestling interviews, because I know sometimes people don't want to always have to watch the video, and they want to listen to podcasts while they drive or while they take a walk. So I'm officially on there, which means I'm officially on Spotify. So I'm really excited about about that, you can go and you can listen to my interviews on there. And the most recent one that I did was with Selena De La Renta, but I have stuff up there with Shane Helms. I have one that I did with Chris Van Vliet. And then I have another interview that's coming up next week, which I will announce afterwards once it's actually done and set in stone. But I'm really excited about it. YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo, Twitter and Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. Tweet me. I actually respond and talk to people.
A lot more than I do. Just kidding. I do it a lot. But, guys, that also reminds me, the audio versions of our interviews, you may have noticed if you subscribe to the podcast feed, I put a bunch of those up. Those will be going up for the longer interviews, like longer than 10, 15 minutes, as we release those. So keep your eye out. Another way for you to check out our interviews. And most importantly, spread the word for us, for Denise, for everybody else. Thank you all so much. Until next time, join us for the Wednesday Night War. We're out.